Hi there, I'm Aman and you're watching PTO classes. So, in today's video, we are going to learn the fourth chapter from your Beehive, that is a truly beautiful mind. So, by far, we have done three chapters in literature from the textbook, NCRT textbook Beehive, and we have done four chapters from your moments. So now this is the fourth chapter from Beehive, a truly beautiful mind. So in the previous chapter we have done Ishwaran the storyteller, and after that we have done the poem from Beehive, Rain on the Roof, and I hope you have understood that poem, a very beautiful poem by Court Skinny. So now we are moving to prose in Beehive, and I hope that you will like this chapter, this story, because it is not a very common story kind of a chapter like we had in Ishwaran the storyteller or the chapters that we have learned before. It is kind of a biographical, semi biographical story, like we have done with that Sound of Music. We have read the story of Evelyn Glennie and Ustad Bismillah Khan. So now we are going to study kind of a biography of a renowned scientist, physicist, and a very popular personality among all, not only youngsters or so, because there is no age bar to the following that this personality has a truly beautiful mind. So see the title, a truly beautiful mind. So you can understand that this particular story is about someone who had a very intellectual personality, the beautiful mind. Here beautiful doesn't only mean in that physical way, but beautiful mind. What is a beautiful mind? When your thoughts are clear, when you are your thinking is clear, when you have a distinct vision, then you have a really sound mind. It is said that you must have a sound mind in a sound body. You have a sound mind in a sound body. A sound mind resides in a sound body. So that term, that quote doesn't relate to anything in the chapter, but I am just telling you that what a beautiful mind here means. A mind which is not only intelligent, a person who is not only intelligent, but at the same time had a bigger perspective about the world. He had his humanitarian views. So without creating much confusion, I am coming to the coming to the crux of the story, that this chapter here particularly we have about Albert Einstein. So most of you must be familiar with the name Albert Einstein. So some people pronounce it as Einstein, but commonly, more preferably, it is pronounced as Einstein. So Albert Einstein, a great physicist and a very renowned personality, Nobel laureate who has received the Nobel Prize, and he has done great invention, great research in the field of physics, and the science students, the students whose interest lies in science and technology, they must be aware of this great man. A very famous equation he gave in physics, E equals to mc square. So this is the greatness of the great scientist Albert Einstein. So we are going to study in deep about the life of Albert Einstein. Not in deep, but we are going to touch his main aspects of his life, what he achieved, how he achieved, what were the hurdles in his journey. So all of that we will discuss in this chapter. So without wasting much time, let's go into the chapter. Let's start your chapter. So before you read, who do you think of when you hear the word genius? Who is a genius? What qualities do you think a genius has? So many a times we call that that boy in that section is a genius. This particular teacher, he is he has such a great knowledge, he is a genius. So what really is genius? Is it only that related to the intellectual attributes or the other aspects also? So it is a question in front of you, whom you will call a genius. So what qualities you can suggest that that can be associated with a genius? So do one thing, in your literature notebook only, before beginning the chapter, before writing the word meanings and all, this task I am giving you, and soon we are going to have the Google Meet calls, and we will be interacting live. So I will be asking you the same. I will be asking you to show me what you have written, or I can ask you in generally also, without you actually showing me the notebook. You can just answer my question, that write any 5 qualities that you can associate with a genius. So this work you have to do in your fair literature notebooks. I will ask you this question when we will have a one-on-one class, when we have a live session. So this is your home assignment. So who do you think a genius is? And later on I will also give you my views, that in my view who is a genius and what qualities I associate with a genius. So we will do that task for sure. Now see, we shall now read about a young German civil servant who took the world by storm about 100 years ago. So see, a young German civil servant. We are talking about a scientist, and we see here that his native place was Germany. He was a German civil servant. What is a civil servant? The officers in our country, we have that IS exam. After passing that, the people generally become the civil servants. So the structure is such in our country. In Germany also they must be having some exams or some structure. So he was a civil servant. You can see that how big IS position is. So you can think that how great a personality Albert Einstein was. So in the summer of 1905, the 26-year-old published in quick succession 4 groundbreaking papers. So we have seen that the birth of the scientist in Germany, and it is written over here that what great things he did, and he published 4 groundbreaking papers. Here papers are associated with the research work that maybe Albert Einstein did, and because of those papers some inventions, some breakthrough occurred in the field of science. So his work took up only a few pages in scientific journals but changed forever. So only a few scientific journals took his research into consideration, but it changed the science field, the research work forever. Time and Entire Cosmos. So it is one of his paper, the Time and Entire Cosmos. Cosmos, you must be wondering what is cosmos. So cosmology, anything, the study, sorry, not anything, study that is related to planets, like astrology only, the cosmology, the cosmos are the journals that we see in that area. So yes, Einstein was a synonym for genius because of his research work. 50 years after his death, Albert Einstein's genius still reigns. So he is still considered to be a genius in his field. Now let's go into the chapter, see what is there in the chapter, what is the story of Einstein, and without wasting much time, let's start. So, Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in the German city of Ulm, without any indication that he was destined for greatness. So, Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879. This is a very important date. You must note it down somewhere. So, mark it in the book only. So, this is a very important date. And where was the birthplace of Albert Einstein? His birthplace was the city of Ulm in Germany. So, he was born on 14th March 1879 in the city of Ulm in Germany. And there was nothing so great. It is obvious that when a child is born, no one can say that what great work he will do or what greatness he will achieve, but a great person was born. At the age of 2.5, Einstein still wasn't talking. So see, once considered a genius, now he is considered a genius. Later on he got to be known as a genius. But at the age of 2, in the beginning years of his childhood, he couldn't speak till the age of 2.5. So it is a very very strange, very peculiar thing about Einstein, and you can mark it also. So see, when he finally did learn to speak, he uttered everything twice. So when Einstein began to talk properly, he uttered everything twice. So what was the strange thing about Einstein? That first he learned to speak late. He was at the age of 2.5, and he learned to speak at that age, and he uttered everything twice. So this was a very strange thing about Einstein, that he used to repeat the sentences twice. Whatever he used to say, a child never speaks full sentences in the beginning, but whatever he used to utter it twice. He used to speak it twice. Uttering means to speak. Einstein did not know what to do with other children. So he was what can we say? He was an introvert. He was not very familiar with other children, and he always used to stay alone. And his playmates called him Brother Boring. So because of not gelling up with his other playmates, with his friends, with his peer group, he got a name Brother Boring, because he was very introvert. See, a genius, later on he was called a genius, and at the beginning he was called Brother Boring. So the youngster played by himself. So he used to play by himself. Now in box here, a very interesting fact is written. Otto Nigabar, the historian of ancient mathematics, told a story about the boy Einstein. So a great historian of ancient mathematics once told a story about this boy Einstein, that he characterizes as a legend, but that seems fairly authentic. So he characterizes as a legend. He is a legend. He has become a great figure, but that seems fairly authentic, as he was a late talker. So it is not it is a very strange thing that he became a legend, but he was a very strange fellow, as I have told you, that he started speaking very late, and that too he used to utter everything twice. So his parents were worried. At last, at the supper table, the dining table, one night he broke his silence to say, "The soup is too hot." So, what were the first words of Albert Einstein? The proper words: "The soup is too hot." Greatly relieved, his parents were greatly relieved from the burden that their kid can't talk properly. So, asked why he had never said a word before, Albert replied, "Because up to now everything was in order." So, see what a strange thing. It is not authenticated, it is a story by a great ancient mathematics historian, that the reason that Einstein gave, that why he didn't speak, that because everything was in order. What was the need to say anything if there is everything in order? There is no need to speak, so I didn't waste my energy on that. So now moving to the next paragraph. Much of the time he specially loved mechanical toys, looking at his newborn sister Maza. His sister was Maza. He is said to have said, "Fine, but where are her wheels?" So a newborn sister came to the house, a young one, to Einstein, his younger sister. So when she was born, she was named Maza, and much to everyone's surprise, Einstein said that, "Okay, a new baby has come, but where are her wheels?" So he was considering Maza to be a toy. A headmaster once told his father that what Einstein chose as a profession wouldn't matter, because he will never make a success at anything. So see what a strange thing here, that a genius was told during his student days by his headmaster, by the principal. His parents were told that no matter what profession he goes to, he will never be successful. So see what a strange thing. Einstein began learning to play the violin at the age of 6. So one of the hobby of Einstein was to play violin, and he started playing violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to his mother compelled him to learn violin because of her wish. So Einstein was never much into violin, but because his mother forced him, so he got into playing violin, and he at the age of 6 he learned to play a violin. He later became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining these skills throughout his life. So he became a gifted amateur violinist. What is amateur? Amateur means not professional. Amateur means just for the sake of your hobby or for your own personal reasons, for your own fun, you do something, but you're not very skilled in it. You're not professionally doing it. Suppose your neighbor, you have a neighbor who likes to teach. He just gives you lectures, he just gives you tuition of maths or so, and he doesn't charge you anything, and he is not into teaching, but he does it just for the sake of his own happiness. So it is amateur, that when someone does something for his own reasons and not for the professional thing. So, but Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. What is a pupil? Pupil is student. So, but Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. he went to high school in Munich. So he was not a very bad student. He went to high school in Munich. Munich was a very famous place for education, for colleges, where Einstein's family had moved when he was 15 months old. So he went to high school in Munich. Munich was a very famous place, and his family had moved on when Einstein was just 15 months old, and it was a very nice place, and he did his high school from the local school there. So, and scored good marks also in almost every subject. So Einstein was not a bad student, he was very studious. Einstein hated the school's regimentation, the rigid rules that are there with the school, and often often clashed with his teachers. So he often had the clashes that generally are very I don't want to say bad, but a mischievous student has, or in some instances a very genius one also. When you have a lot of talent in you, when you are very intellectual, what you do, you always have the habit to uh, to to compel from others, to clash with others, because you don't easily get into their beliefs. You have your own ideology. So this was the case with Einstein, and that was the reason that the headmaster called that he will not work because of his this attitude. At the age of 15, Einstein felt so stiff. Stiff means when someone is getting suffocated because of a situation, when someone wants to run away from a place. So he left the school for good. So he left his school after high school in Munich. So see, the previous year Albert's parents had moved to Milan. So Milan is also a very famous place in Europe, and Milan you can associate with football club also, and left their son with relatives. So Albert's parents had moved to Milan and they left their son with their relatives. After prolonged discussion, so they discussed for some time that what to do with Einstein. Shall we take him with us, or shall we drop him to our relatives? So they eventually dropped. Einstein got his wish to continue his education in German speaking Switzerland. So he wanted to learn in Switzerland and he didn't want to go to Milan. So he had his wish fulfilled in a city which was more liberal than Munich. So he didn't want to remain in Munich also, and he didn't want to go to Milan also, and eventually he got his wish and he went to Switzerland for his further studies. So liberal, a word is there. Liberal, you must have heard in lot of news debates also. A liberal mindset, or liberal is someone who doesn't content with the rigid norms of the society, willing to understand and respect others' opinions also. So he was a liberal, giving respect to others' opinion, and not contented to a certain ideology. You are having you understand everyone's opinion and you respect their opinions. You have your own ideology and you have a type of an attitude that nothing is wrong. If you are very modernized, it is okay. If you are not that modernized, it is okay. So the exact opposite of orthodox. Okay, Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics. So we see a younger Einstein below and a much older Einstein, which we commonly refer to as, and see the mustache of Einstein, walrus mustaches they used to call. Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and he was a very great mathematician also, and interested in physics also. And after finishing school, he decided to study at a university in Zurich. So he studied later on in a university for his college in Zurich. But science wasn't the only thing that appealed to the dashing young man with the walrus mustache. So, see the mustache of Einstein. He was not only mm, uh, interested in science. So, we will see that what other interest this great genius has. He also felt a special interest in a fellow student, Mileva Marte. So, Mileva Mare was a very nice girl who used to study with Einstein, and he was interested in her. She was his love interest, and he also felt a special interest in her, as you can know, you can see, whom he found to be a clever creature. So, see, being a genius, being a above average, not only above average, a very high IQ, high gifted student, he was interested in mates who were also very intellectual. So he regarded Mileva Mari as a clever creature. This young Serb from Serbia, maybe she was from Serbia, had come to Switzerland because the university in Zurich was one of the few in Europe. So she came to Zurich because it was one of the university in which she could gain the knowledge that she desired in Europe, where women could get degrees. So in that period, women were restricted from getting good education. Women were sabotaged from every corner of the society. So in education also they were restricted, and Mileva wanted to attain good knowledge. Einstein saw in her an ally against the Philistines. So ally, what is an ally? The friend, a friend whom you can rely upon. So Einstein considered Mileva to be one such ally. Those people in his family and at the university with whom he was constantly at odds. So the Philistines, he considered that all were such people who were getting into the norms of the religion or the society. So they were not really liberal in the mindset of Einstein. So he thought that maybe Mileva is one such individual whom he can rely upon. The couple fell in love. Letters survive in which they put their affection into words. So the couple fell into love, and a lot of letters were written, and they can tell us that yes, they were greatly involved in a relationship. Mixing science with tenderness, wrote Einstein, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work in relativity to a victorious conclusion." So Einstein was in a seventh heaven, that a girl is there, a friend is there whom he can work with, and who shares the common interest, that is knowledge. In 1900, at the age of 21, Albert Einstein was a university graduate. So at that time, graduating at the age of 21 was a big thing, and unemployed. Sadly, unemployed also. He worked as a teaching assistant. So he worked as a teacher, gave private lessons, and finally secured a job in 1902 as a technical expert in the patent office. You know the term patent. Whenever we are producing something of our own vision, of our own creation, for example, maybe a song. See, the artist, they do patent of their own creations, the songs. You have heard of the word copyright issues. Whenever a musician produce some music, some song, so if other copies his work, he goes to the court or authorities, and he asks that I have a patent over this particular song, this particular invention, this particular book, this particular article, and no one can copy it. So he was working as a technician in the patent office in Bern, so in the city of Bern. While he was supposed to be assessing other people's invention, so inventions also come there, as I have told you, Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. So while working in that patent office, he was actually working on his own inventions. He is said to have jokingly called his desk drawer at the work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. So the drawer he used to have in the office, he said that it is my Bureau of Theoretical Physics. So see the humor of Einstein also here. One of the famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity. So this question you can use in physics also. Who gave the theory of relativity? Einstein. We will further study it. So according to which time and distance are not absolute. Time and distance are not absolute. Indeed, two perfectly accurate clocks will not continue to show the same time if they come together again after a journey, if one of them has been moving very fast relative to the other. So this is the theory of relativity. You can learn it better from your physics sir, and you can learn it in your books also. So the theory of relativity was given by Einstein. So from this followed the world's most famous formula, the equation that is a very famous equation, the theory of relativity, which describes the relationship between mass and energy, that is E equals to mc square. So in this mathematical equation, E stands for energy, m for mass, and c for the speed of the light. So this is the equation, this is the formula that Einstein gave, and it is a very famous formula. So this paragraph concludes our part 1 of your chapter. So I hope you have understood that how Einstein became so popular. He gave this famous formula, and how he had his humble beginning when he was not able to speak properly, and later on he uttered everything twice, and his first words were the soup is too hot. So these are the few things that you have to keep in mind, and you have to do that work. Write 5 points that are associated or that can define a genius. I will ask you in the video call, and before that we will do the next part of this chapter also. So I hope you have understood the chapter, and thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you have understood it. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. So press the like button and subscribe to the channel also if you haven't, and look forward for the future videos. Thank you so much for watching my lecture.